you wanted the best, you've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. It's Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. We certainly appreciate it. As always, the Chris Voss Show is a family that loves you but doesn't judge you, at least not as harshly as your mother-in-law, because, I don't know, she wanted her to marry Bob. And you're still looking to get better and firm up to what the mother-in-law wants. And it's almost Thanksgiving, too, of 2024. So make sure that you refer her and her family and friends to go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss. Chris Voss, one of the TikTok and all those crazy places on the internet. Today we're going to be talking about health. Whether it's mental health or human health, we do that a lot on the Chris Voss Show for 16 years and over 2,100 episodes. Today we have Melanie Hunter joining us on the show. She is a founder of a company called Alii Supplement.com. Melanie Hunter is a journey into holistic nutrition, began as a quest to reclaim her own health and well-being. For over a decade, she endured the roller coaster ride of hormonal birth control, grappling with severe mood swings, frequent infections, low energy levels, and a torment of IBS. That's Fridays around here. Despite these struggles, Melanie pressed on and determined to find a solution. Her turning point came when she returned to school to study nutrition. There she stumbled upon a revelation that shook her to her core, the concept of drug-induced nutrient depletion, learning that the very medication she relied on was stripping her body of vital nutrients, leaving her betrayed and angry. How could she have not been informed about this? Fueled by her frustration and armed with newfound knowledge, she embarked on a mission to create a solution. This is why we love entrepreneurs. They always fix things, or they try to fix things, let's put it that way. Recognizing many women like her would continue to rely on hormonal birth control, she was determined to mitigate its negative effects, and the idea for her supplement was born, a carefully crafted blend designed to replenish the nutrients depleted by hormonal contraceptives. Welcome to the show, Melanie. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing excellent. Give us your .com so people can find you on the interwebs.
So Alii is ALII supplements.com. And that's how you can find us. You can also find us on social, the same thing, Alii Supplement.
So it sounds like you went through quite the journey. Give us a 30,000 overview of what you do there at the company.
Oh my goodness, it's been a journey for sure.
Welcome to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah, amen to that. I am married to a serial entrepreneur, and I have watched him start and grow multiple businesses. And, you know, starting when yourself is just an entirely different experience. I mean, I am, first and foremost, I'm a holistic nutrition consultant who is super passionate about health and wellness. And I created a supplement line because I saw a real need, and specifically for my own journey. And so I wanted to provide a solution for that. And, you know, it's got great intentions, and it's been really interesting to run, start a business and build a brand. And I'm learning a lot of things, and I'm making a lot of mistakes. And yeah, it's been it's been a lot, but we're trucking away. And yeah, I have a really great product, and we've had some amazing testimonials. And so I'm really fueled by my passion and core belief in what I'm doing.
I've often said that they need to change the title of entrepreneur to problem fixer, eternal problem fixer, basically. Yeah. I've talked about this on the show. There was a guy that I saw on TikTok who he sells private planes. He's a really astute English gentleman. And I was watching him go through his day, and he's probably in his 60s or something. He's much older than I am. He might be closer to 70. But he's been doing this business all of his life. He started when he was young, and he's been selling these planes. And he said, the funny thing is with technology and the changing evolvement environment of business and everything else, he goes, every day there's new problems, even after 60 years. Wow. There's new problems, and all I do all day long is I solve problems. And that's the journey of an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
An entrepreneur will be just maybe a consumer, and they'll see, hey, here's XYZ, and how can I make this widget better? And I've got some ideas that will, and maybe other people like the better version as well. As entrepreneurs are really just problem solvers, and it's never ending. Every day you show up and there's new problems to face, and you kind of just have to learn you're in a game of whack-a-mole. However long you run your company.
Yeah, totally. I think it's not for the faint of heart. Yeah.
It's definitely not. But the great thing is it really teaches self-actualization and self-reliance. So tell us a little bit more about your journey, in your words, when did things start going awry for you, and you started really kind of noticing your body was reactive poorly to some of the medications that were being given to you?
Yeah, so I grew up on the typical standard American diet. My family did cook, and so we ate real meals at dinner. But I'd come home from school and sit in front of the TV with a bag of Doritos, and so my health journey definitely started later. And so
Doritos are unhealthy? What?
You want to go there?
I thought they had herbs in them, and
yeah, a little bit
it's a mini crushed up salad formed into a chip.
Oh God, who told you that? You can lie to yourself all you want, but that is not what that is. That is a lovely mix of some food dyes, some genetically processed ingredients, and some chemical additives. Is what
Next thing you're going to tell me is McDonald's doesn't have real meat in their food.
I'm sorry to, ruin your day, but it's not exactly what we mean when we say whole foods diet.
I got a vasectomy very early on in my life, and so I've had girlfriends that have when we start dating, they're of course on birth control, the pill, and they will go off it because usually if they're dating me for a long-term relationship, they don't need it anymore, and then sometimes, usually when we break up, I guess I should put it this way since I'm never married. Usually, when we break up, they usually have to go back on the pill because not a lot of guys my age got a vasectomy so early, and and I've seen what women have kind of experienced under birth control, and it mucking up their hormonal processes and making them unstable through their hormones, and I've seen what it's like for them to live off it. Dating me with a vasectomy, and then I've seen them how hard it is to go back on, and it's almost worse to try and get off it and then go back on, where they, they'll call me and be like, Jesus Christ, this is really screwing me up again, and so I've kind of witnessed, women going through these cycles of finding out that some of these drugs don't work well for them. Tell us more about how that works and how you're solving that problem for not just for yourself but for all women.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I think that as a woman, we have normalized experiencing certain things. And I think, going through mood swings on or off birth control, because we, have these monthly cycles. We're just built differently than men anyway, right? We're on 28-day cycles, men are on 24-hour cycles. It's just different. And so I think that as a woman, to some degree, it's just it's become very normal for you to just endure side effects of birth control and of, hormonal irregularities. And I think, it doesn't have to be that way though. We've normalized too much, and there's a lot that we really can do. The food that you eat matters, and hormonal birth control, I definitely don't want to shame it. I am not here to tell anyone to take it either. I'm very much like pro-choice. I believe we should have the choice as women to do what is right for our bodies. And at the same time, I went on birth control when I was 19, and I'm a very curious human. So I asked lots of questions, and no one in the 10 years that I was on birth control, not one of my doctors, which was a handful, ever mentioned that I was depleting so many vital nutrients in my body and disrupting my microbiome. And I'm like, why was that not even a conversation? Because had I known, I would have still taken it during those years of my life. Personally, I'm thankful for it. I had friends who had to make some really, hard decisions, and I'm grateful I never was in that situation. So not here to shit on birth control, but I would have supported my body during that time by replenishing those nutrients, by supporting my microbiome. And I know I would have had a different experience both on birth control to help with the side effects, but also for the next decade, because the decisions that we're making today are laying the foundation for your health in the future. And, we're creating the situation where women go on birth control, and other medications do this as well. Birth control is a major offender, but it's not the only one. So you go on a medication and it's depleting nutrients that your body needs often for the things that you're going on for, right? Like antidepressants will deplete B vitamins, and you need B vitamins to create healthy neurotransmitters, and you need a healthy microbiome to have a healthy mood. And both of these pharmaceuticals disrupt the microbiome. And so I'm really here to bridge that gap, because it's not, anti-medication at all. It's let's meet people where they are. If you are on birth control and you need to be on birth control, let's support your body so that you can feel better while you're on it, and you can transition off better and not create long-term health problems for yourself down the future because you're so depleted after a decade.
Yeah. There's a lot of medications maybe that deplete your vitamins. I mean, I know vodka isn't a depression or isn't a medicine, but sometimes it is. I think you can pour it on open wounds as a whiskey. You can do that in the Old West, but as an antiinfectant. But like I say, I saw women go off birth control and be like, "Wow, this is really nice. Yeah, I like this. This is, I feel more stable." And then I've had them go back on it, and it's almost harder to do that. But vodka and alcohol deplete your system of nutrients, potassium, and all that sort of stuff. And I remember in my 40s, I was having problems just functioning, and I called up my friend, and I'm like, "Hey man, I don't know, man, I'm having a hard time." He goes, "Dude, you're drinking and it's draining your electrolytes and everything." Yeah. I even had an ex-girlfriend who had an alcoholic problem. She passed away from potassium deficiency. Wow. And I didn't know you could die from potassium deficiency, but you can.
Yeah.
And just like alcohol, these drugs do the same sort of effect or have the same sort of effect. And if you aren't aware of that, you're going to get depleted, and you've got to overcompensate some way. And so tell us about some of the products that you have offering there, what they do and how they do it, basically. I mean, we don't need to know exactly how they do this.
Yeah, I won't go into all the dirty science. I won't bore you.
We don't need the secret sauce of what.
So we are really a very new company, and we are self-funded at this point. And so we started with one SKU, which is Alii, your birth control's best friend, and that's this guy. And that is meant for women on hormonal birth control. And this will replenish its capsules. You take 3 every morning, and it replenishes all of the nutrients that are depleted by hormonal birth control. And it has an ingredient for the microbiome that has been clinically studied. It's called Core Biome, and it's been shown to balance gut flora and to help support healthy intestinal lining, which is everything. Gut health is everything. And so that is the one that we started with. We are working on, actually have the formula finalized for the one for your antidepressants best friend, and that will be available early next year. And same thing, we're really here to bridge the gap. It's really so that we can meet you where you are and help you to replenish all the nutrients that are being depleted by the medication, and setting the stage for a healthier future. If you're dealing with depression, you might need an antidepressant. I understand there's a place for these things, right? And at the same time, you don't want to dig yourself a further hole by depleting the nutrients that you need for a healthy mood and disrupting your microbiome, which you need for a healthy mood. And so it's really meant to meet you where you are, to support you in your journey to minimize side effects and to set the stage for a healthy future. And, I have ideas for all sorts of products. I think there's a variety. There's a lot of pharmaceuticals. Drug-induced nutrient depletion is a relatively new term to the general population. But in the medical research, this is not a new thing. Doctors know that this is a thing. It's just that not all doctors have even bought in how important nutrients are. And we're getting there, right? We're seeing changes and we're understanding. But the fact is, I'm from Ohio. You're hard pressed to find many doctors who are really talking about food and supplements. And I think that's changing, and we're learning, and it's going to rapidly accelerate. And people are taking more of a stance in their own lives and realize that they really need to be their best advocate. And so I want people to understand that this is available to support you on your journey.
You really have to be an advocate, especially when it comes to holistic stuff. You know, there's so much stuff that's between whether it's saving my dogs and extending the life that had cancer by changing them to a holistic sort of diet, a raw diet, if you will, for dogs because they're carnivores. And even for myself, losing weight, learning to eat raw foods, live foods, healthy foods in the produce department as opposed to, the dark arts of the Franken meat at McDonald's and stuff like that. Franken meat is what a judge actually called it in a court hearing once. It's Franken meat. Yeah, they're like, I'm not even sure this qualifies as real meat. It's more like a Franken whatever. So that image has never left my head. I usually look for the neck bolts on my Big Mac.
And I think people think that like the government or the FDA is looking out for your health, and it honestly just hasn't been. I think that could change in the coming years, but like our Franken meat is approved, like it's available for you to purchase, and so you have to be able to decipher, what's good for you.
Yeah, I just look under the bun and it says on the meat Abby Normal, so that's where the meat comes from. Abby Normal. That's a young Frankenstein joke for those of you gens. Now, it looks like you've got a few products that are coming soon. Your antibiotics best friend, your antidepressants best friend. It's kind of funny, actually, your antidepressants best friend. I don't know, for some reason, I think that's funny. And there's the anticonvulsants.
Anticonvulsants are anti-seizure medications, but they're also prescribed often for anxiety, and anxiety is a massive issue in today's world, and so that would probably be the one that would come after the antidepressants best friend. But yeah, I mean, like I said, we're self-funded, so we'll see when we get there.
I want one that gives people convulsions. Name it my enemies. I can slip into their drink. No, don't do that, people. That's a Bill Cosby joke. And some of the testimonials you have on here, some of the women that have taken your birth control's best friend is the name of the product. They say goodbye to brain fog, cramps be gone, a lot less cramping. That's nice. I know women are not fans of the cramping. Energy booster, and everyone can use that. There's never a coffee in the world for me. Gut health, overall health, and bloat-free. That's another thing that I know women hate, the putting on water and bloating. It's kind of a mean thing that the universe does to women every month, but I suppose it's all about propagating the species, which is what our primary drive is for the universe, because, I don't know, it's bored. It's need more of you to make more plastic and pollute.
God. I think, it's interesting. I think you can look at it saying it's mean for women. And at the same time, if you actually understand your body as a woman, like we are spectacular beings. We have these amazing bodies that are capable of building babies and, and food for babies. And I mean, we really are an amazing specimen. And we have to be treated with like really care. And I think once you learn and how to, all the things, you have to eat properly, you have to take care of your mindset and exercise and drink clean water. But once you do this, your hormones will balance, and you can really live in a state where you can understand yourself way better, and it doesn't have to be some curse. I want to get away from that. I don't think that we are not cursed as women. I am so grateful to be in a woman's body. Once you can understand it, and then you don't have to suffer from no one should be having terrible menstrual cramps. If you have terrible menstrual cramps every month, you are almost guaranteed to be deficient in magnesium, possibly other things, but you need magnesium. And so that's why you're cramping so bad. So we really are not supposed to have this terrible hormonal week. I mean, yes, there's some fluctuations, and it's normal to feel different. And there's a time that's better to be really hitting the gym hard, and there's a time for our bodies to rest. And once we can learn our rhythms and honor them and listen to our bodies, then we can appreciate this amazing female body that we live in, and treat it respectfully and live in balance as opposed to in opposition. I think studies mostly have been done on men, and so women like to follow what men are doing, and we are not built the same. We're not meant to do that, and we have to be educated and know and honor our bodies, and then we can really appreciate them instead of feeling like we got the short end of the stick.
Oh, without you guys, we're screwed as a species. You guys have this cool hat magic trick that you do where you pop a baby out.
Totally.
And hopefully someone catches it when it does pop out. There's like a whole. I think that's the natural sound that happens at birth. I haven't been to a birth, so I went to mine. I went to mine, and that was the last one. I had.
I have 3 boys, so I think I'm probably well versed on this than you are.
Oh, is there a popping sound? Is that pop sound? Is that what happens at birth?
There's no popping sound. There's kind of a popping feel, but I don't know if you want to go into that.
Well, that's what the epidural's for. I don't know how.
I didn't do that, so I can tell you how it all felt. But.
I don't know. They evidently figured out what causes pregnancy too. We're looking into that. There, on your website, you have some different courses that can help educate people as well. Tell us about some of these.
Yeah, so really it's meant to be, it's free. It's a completely free course that I did myself, and I'm a holistic nutrition consultant. I mean, that's why I'm in this. That's my passion. I'm learning to be an entrepreneur, as I said, but I am a nutrition consultant. And so it's really important to understand ourselves and what's happening. And so I put on this free educational course on my website because I want women to understand. And I also really want mothers of teenage girls to be educated, because so many young girls are put on birth control. I mean, I've talked to people who have been on birth control as young as 10 years old. Wow. And as a mother, I know that we are doing what we think is best for our children at all times. And so these mothers who are putting their daughters on birth control at a very young age, it's because they don't know what else to do. And birth control for these issues is really a Band-Aid. And it's not to say don't use it. It's just use it in combination with lifestyle changes so that you can help your daughter to support her body the best she can. And so it's really, it's to help empower people to understand what that means. And so there's, understanding what birth control does in your body, understanding what else you can do to support your body, lifestyle, diet, it's all really important. And so I really wanted to educate people and empower them to make the best decisions they can.
The more you know.
The more you know.
You can operate. That's why we do the Chris Voss Show. The more you know.
I love
it. Let me ask you this. You've probably heard about estrogenics.
Yeah.
And basically there's parabens and different estrogenics that are especially in our soaps and stuff, our cleansers, but also in our food and different things that we come in contact with. Yeah. And these estrogenics, from what we've had from doctors that have been on the show, are so high in our bloodstreams that's coming in from water and pills and all this sort of stuff that women are having their periods younger, evidently.
Totally.
And that's probably not fun thing, but also, what we've been talking about today with the hormones and regulation and stuff. And I think that sometimes women at that age take birth control to kind of try and regulate the cramps and regulate the experience of having a period. Is that what they're told, or is that a fact? Does it really help? Does it work?
I mean, a lot of these girls go on birth control at a young age because they're having really heavy bleeding, heavy cramping, acne. Those are mostly the reasons. There are a lot of reasons. I mean, honestly, you're right. There's so much estrogenic foods. And I mean, the poultry that we eat, the chicken in this country, there's all the products that we use. And it's really a problem. And so what you're doing, though, is essentially adding more estrogen to the estrogen soup. So it's not actually going to solve any of the problems in the long term. It can provide relief in the short term. And so I think that, let's look at our toolkit. What do we have as our tools? If you need birth control for a period of time to address some of these symptoms that you're having while you figure it out and while you get to the root of the real problem, then fine. But really, it's about eating organic foods. It's about using natural skincare and beauty products, and there are a lot of products available now, thankfully. The Environmental Working Group has an amazing app, and you can look up products that will tell you, they'll give you a category and they'll tell you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, there's an app.
What's the name of the app again?
The Environmental Working Group is the actual company. I think it's EWG is the app, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, you can look up, it doesn't have every product on there, but you can look up a category or you can look up a specific product, and it will tell you a number, and it'll tell you like whether it's red or green as far as, how toxic it is. And it'll also tell you if it is going to, produce hormones in your body.
Wow.
Yes. So that matters. And I also am a really big fan of what I call everyday detox, which is really just, you have to properly get rid of all of the environmental pollutants that we are all exposed to every day, right? It just is. It's in our water, it's in our products, it's in our air, it's in everything. So breathing properly, diaphragmatic breathing helps. Drinking a lot of clean filtered water helps. if you have access to a sauna, amazing way. And if not, you need to sweat, you need to exercise. You can do things like activated charcoal to help eliminate toxins. So there's really a lot of amazing things that we can do to help to eliminate these things, because they're just a part of our world at this point. So you can't completely avoid them, and we shouldn't be crazy trying to. Stress is a toxin as well. So the point is not to stress you out to the point where we're all doomed. It's just, what can we do and to eliminate these toxins.
And talk, you referenced earlier the gut biome. We've had lots of biologists and scientists on the show, and they've talked about how the gut is basically our second brain, and it's actually connected to our brain. If you fill your gut with all sorts of crap, it's going to cause brain swelling. Yeah. Talk to us about why that's important, what this gut health thing is.
I mean, gut health is everything. And, pretty much all pharmaceuticals, pretty much anything you ingest is going to have an effect on your microbiome, whether positive or negative. But what happens is, let's take birth control. It's been shown to cause intestinal permeability. That's leaky gut. And so if you have leaky gut, it's only one cell. Your gut lining is one cell. That's it. And so it's really easy to get leaky gut. And glyphosate, Roundup is everywhere, right? We all have some level of Roundup in our bodies, which also
I'm drinking some right now.
A
little sharp in the aftertaste on the back palate, but
not the best thing for you. But this matters for everything. Truly, if you have intestinal permeability, then the foods you are eating are essentially getting into your blood, which is why we're allergic to everything now. You create food sensitivities, you create inflammation in your body. You also, like you said, your brain is connected to your gut through your vagus nerve. And so your mood is dependent on a healthy microbiome, and serotonin is produced in the microbiome. And so it really matters. And that is something in my approach to gut health is it's every day as well. You need to be eating fiber-rich foods, probiotic foods like fermented, like kimchi or fermented pickles, drinking clean water, and taking supplements specifically for the gut. And so in Alii, we have something called Core Biome, and it's a patented ingredient that's been clinically studied, and it's a short chain fatty acid that's been shown to affect the gut in two important ways. One is to support a healthy intestinal lining. So that's what we're talking about, getting rid of leaky gut. And two, it helps to balance gut flora. And so those are really, when you talk about gut health, you're talking about two things. What bugs do you have in there? Because the good bugs need to outweigh the bad bugs. Yeah. And do you have leaky gut, or is your intestinal lining, solid is a hard word because it's one cell thing, but is it healthy? And that's what we're talking about. And it matters for everything when you're talking about health.
Oh yeah. Definitely. It's amazing. Like, I never thought about like inflammation and gut health until I started really learning this stuff. I guess I waited till 50 to figure stuff out.
At least you did. Some people will never do. So
that's true. Several years ago, magnesium is one of the ingredients in your product. Years ago, I never, I don't know. I didn't really take supplements most of my life, vitamins and, just your basics. And several years ago, I just started having a problem where my gut was turning to cement. And I couldn't figure out what was going on. I would just be living on Phillips milk and magnesium, and I would just be like, why? And like sometimes it would be up, sometimes it would be down, and sometimes it would just, it was like my internal gut was turning to cement. And turns out I was short on magnesium, potassium a little bit, but it was magnesium. And so now I have to take magnesium morning and night, and make sure that I'm supplemented, because if I don't, man, my gut goes, yeah, we're just gonna turn that all to cement, and good luck pushing that out.
Yeah,
and that's huge. It really surprised me.
Yeah, totally. It's such a great example. That's one nutrient, right? Like you're deficient in one nutrient, and it really messed up your gut. And magnesium alone is involved in somewhere between 300 to 600 that we know of enzymatic processes, so chemical processes in the body. And so, that's just one thing that magnesium is doing. And 80% of the American population is deficient in magnesium.
Yeah.
It causes so many problems. And that's why we're cramping and our guts don't work, and we have mood issues and we're anxious. And all of these things are related to just magnesium, and birth control depletes like a handful of nutrients. So you can imagine how much it messes you up.
And as you get older, it's really harder to keep. I don't know if it's harder to keep these things in your body, or if it's just harder for you to produce, or maybe if you're not eating right, of course, you're not getting these things. But yeah, I mean, one of the things ways I lost 100 pounds was learning to eat raw foods, learning to eat right, learning to eat healthy foods, and it just made all the difference in my life. And your body really responds to it. You know, I saw my body respond to it and go, "Hey, wow, okay, we're going to reward you by making you feel good."
Yeah.
D3 is another big issue that people don't have. In fact, I just recently moved from 5,000 IU to 10,000 IU a day.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm going to go higher. I've had some people tell me they're taking some interesting things, and I think the shots that people get once a week are 50,000 IU drop, if I'm using the right thing. But yeah, vitamin D is a really big thing that I think people are deficient in as well, aren't they?
100%. And it's interesting, if you do a standard blood test with your physician, you can be in the normal range, which is not at all optimal. So if your blood's 30, I don't remember the exact measurement they use, but it's really, you're still deficient, even if you're in the normal range. Really, you want optimal ranges of vitamin D, like 50 to 80. I sometimes will even go higher for my blood, because vitamin D it's a hormone, and it has so many benefits in the body. I mean, it's been shown to be, anti-cancer and antiviral, and so it helps with the mood, and it's really, huge. And again, the majority of Americans are deficient. And I saw a doctor. We lived in California, and he said that, he would see professional volleyball players who were still deficient, because you take in vitamin D from the sun, but it's really hard for your body to get enough vitamin D from the sun. And that was in Southern California. So if you live, anywhere northern, you are definitely deficient in vitamin D.
Yeah, any place north of California. And that's why people have like red light therapy, and which is controversial sometimes. But so do you do other consulting and coaching still on top of what you do here with the Alii supplement?
Very little. I found that I love sharing information. And so I do. I have an Instagram account, Holistic Health with Mel, and I love to share information on that. However, when it comes to one-on-one consulting, I personally find it just energetically depleting, because I would get so excited and I'd be like, you need to do this and this and this. And I'd be like so pumped for somebody. And then we'd have a call in 2 weeks and they'd be like, oh, I didn't do anything. And I'm like, okay, great. Like, I can't do this for you. And it started to just feel like energetically depleting. And so now I share things on Holistic Health with Mel that I'm just always into things, and I'm constantly reading, and I just enjoy sharing. And so really, I do mostly that. I will take clients every once in a while through word of mouth, someone who really wants to work with me, who's self-motivated, because I'm not the person who can have a call with you every 2 weeks to be that person. There's a lot of amazing people who are. I'm just not that person right now.
Okay. It looks like can it be used for vaginal rings, IUDs, implants, birth control women might have? Yeah. And what if they don't take birth control? What about
Great question. Things? Yeah, you can 100% take it. I personally am not in the phase of my life where I'm on birth control anymore. I'm 44, and so I'm just in a different phase. And so I take it because it's an amazing combination of vitamins, minerals, has CoQ10, which is an antioxidant, and gut support. And I take it, and I'm not on birth control. My husband will take it sometimes. I mean, you don't even have to be a woman. I specifically formulated it for women on hormonal birth control because it's that important, and you need to replenish if you're on hormonal birth control. And if you're not on birth control, you can 100% still take it. There's nothing in there that's going to negatively impact you, or, you're not going to, as a man, you're not going to suddenly grow boobs or something. It's literally vitamins, minerals, and antioxidant and gut support. So anyone can take it.
I'm not going to grow boobs. I've been fisting all the pills. It's a guy thing. I noticed it also has zinc in it, which is really important, especially in the absorption of the vitamin D, right?
It's important for so many things, immune support. It's important for gut support. These things also, there's interesting, there was a study that was recently talked about by Dr. Axe, and said that women who are on birth control for, I think it was 10 years had an insane, like 200 and some % increase in thyroid dysfunction.
Really?
And yeah, so it's so interesting. But if you look at, the thyroid, it requires some of these nutrients. Selenium's a big one. And so if you are, often women are depleted from the get-go, or they're young and they're growing and, they don't have excess nutrients or utilizing them. And then you go on birth control for a very long time, you are severely depleted. And then that's when you then end up with issues like your thyroid stops working properly, or whatever else. There's all sorts of things, but that's why it's really important to not wait until you're experiencing side effects or until you have a diagnosis. It's really about prevention. It's so much easier to prevent these things and take care of yourself than to try to reverse them later.
Yeah. Chasing the problem. That was the problem I had with magnesium and potassium, something I also make sure I take a lot of these days. It's as you get older, it just gets harder to kind of keep up, but keep us alive. But yeah, I remember the days when I was like, vitamins, I'm doing fine.
How did that change for you? What changed?
I got old. I got old and crap started working. I'm like, hey, what's going wrong? And they're like, yeah, doctors, hey, you take any vitamins there, eh? And I'm like, vitamins? I don't. Aren't those in the Big Mac with the bolts in the neck, the Franken meat? And
right.
they're like, no. This actually probably depletes your vitamins.
I was just going to say that. Thank you for saying that. Everything that we put in our body think of yourself as like a bank, and you are always either replenishing or you're depleting. And so that Big Mac is just basically taking, because you have to digest it and your body has to process it. So it's essentially depleting you of those nutrients. And so if you can think of yourself as a bank, are you investing in it, or are you, constantly just making withdrawals?
My bank needs a bailout, eh? Can we get, is it too big to fail? Is it 2008? We can get a bailout? No, I for a long time, I just didn't take very good care of myself. I didn't eat well. I didn't take vitamins. I didn't go to the gym. Now I go to the gym for 2-3 hours every day or every other day, depending upon, my recovery. Yeah. And I take the vitamins and, the magnesium there's no way I can live without magnesium at this point. I don't know why my body just needs a lot of it all of a sudden. It's probably from severe brain damage of living for all these years. Potassium, of course, is a big one as well. And it's just, you've got to take care of your body. I mean, when you really think about it, 100 years ago, or not even maybe that, most people lived to 45 or 35.
Yeah. Right.
You gotta kind of adjust for that. We're living a long time, but you're right. You got to advocate for yourself. I found that doctors, while they have good intentions, a lot of them are really busy and they're just, they're trying to get everybody through the pipeline.
Right.
And so you've got to ask questions. You've got to advocate for yourself. You got to say, hey, this isn't working for me. And I think maybe a lot of women just get handed birth control or, whatever the doctor gives them. And they assume that, that person's got the best intentions and they've been fully briefed on, side effects and different things like that. And it seems like a lot of women just aren't aware of it. I mean, my experience with my girlfriends and stuff, it's been the worst experience for them to go back on birth control after being off it for a couple years.
Yeah, no, I believe it. And I think it's easy to vilify doctors. And I think in all reality, most doctors have very little to no nutrition training in school. And so they can't educate you because they're not educated on it themselves. And so we can find fault with it, but really it's a systematic problem. It's more than just the physician. They're doing the best they can too in a model that's broken. And so, I think as a woman, it's really important to know there's a lot of different birth control options and to find which one works for you. And, if you feel crazy, then it's not the right one for you. Find something that works and then support your body during the time that you're using it. And really, it's a season of life that you use birth control, right? It's not forever. And so it's really just support yourself during these years. And you have to be the person to advocate for yourself because doctors don't even know necessarily that it's doing this. I've talked to some physicians and they're like, I didn't know that birth control depleted nutrients and all of these nutrients. They just really don't know. And so that's really my biggest mission is really just education and empowering women to make the best choice you can. And if you're going to supplement with something other than Alii, that's okay. You should know though that birth control has been shown to actually elevate certain other nutrients. Just be aware and do what you can to support your body through this time so that you don't end up with long-lasting side effects that you're dealing with for decades.
When women get pregnant, do they normally does the doctors put them, or do they normally just go, hey, I should take more vitamins? Do they do that when they normally get pregnant, or is there some medical, thought that's put into it where, a doctor says, hey, here's a multivitamin, make sure you're taking that for when you're having a baby. Do a lot of women get that advice?
It's interesting. I'm actually glad you brought this up because yes, prenatal vitamins are often recommended. And prenatal vitamins are really, really important, but it's interesting. The form of vitamin you take matters. And essentially you're recommended to take folate in its natural form. It's B9, right? Well, folic acid has actually been shown if you or your partner have a methylation defect, the MTHFR genetic mutation, then your child, your baby, is much more likely to have a lip or a tongue tie when they're born, which then creates problems with breastfeeding. And so you really want to stay away from folic acid, and you want to get methylfolate is a methylated version if you or your husband have the TMHFR, which not everybody knows. So I would say just take that form if you can, which is what's in Alii. But it's interesting. I didn't know that at the time either. So I was taking prenatals, probably had folic acid. And, my middle son has lip and tongue ties. And now that I know that, I'm like, shit, had I known better, I would have done better. But, we do what we do.
You don't know some of these things.
You don't know.
I mean, but you try and cover it. So in my Super B complex I'm looking at here, it's got folate in it.
Folate?
You said there was some, it's got folate. You said there was what was the? So
there's folate, there's folic acid is the one you want to avoid. Folic acid, if you have the MTHFR, can be harmful. As long as it's not in that form, then you're good.
Putting in my coffee.
Yeah, probably not.
So I need the different folate maybe, or something.
I mean, if it's folate, you're probably good. Methylfolate, that's what you want.
I'm not having any babies soon. I've had my tubes tied. Yeah, it looks like it's got 400 mcg folic acid in it.
Oh, folic acid.
It says folate, 665 mcg, DFE, and then in parentheses it says 400 mcg folic acid. I'm not sure.
Interesting. Have you ever had genetic testing?
No, the last test I took, they said I'd been dead for about 5 years, so there wasn't a point to it.
Congratulations, you're still kicking it. You're doing pretty good.
I'm a zombie at this point. I think people know. 16 years of the podcast, I'm like, yeah, he's gone full zombie.
That'll do it, huh?
He died 5 years ago. I died on the inside, maybe. But no, this is really important to know. And yeah, that was the question. You answered the question that I had set up for you next was, is it linked to any birth defects or sort of issues with children?
Yeah, I mean, if you're deficient in folate, then it's neural tube defects is what they found. So that's why they started recommending that pregnant women take folic acid. But that was before they realized that folic acid can be harmful if you or your partner have the MTHFR gene mutation. So it's really methylated Bs. You hear about the methylation process much more, which is a very complex chemical process. But essentially, that's what you need to know is, if you have never done genetic testing, I would just, veer on the side of caution and just always take methylated Bs.
Yeah.
It's your body will break them down, as opposed to if you have that and you don't take methylated Bs, essentially, not only is it not actually helping you, it can potentially do some damage.
Are methanol cigarettes the same thing? If I just smoke one of those, it'll be fine?
Sadly, no. Wouldn't that be?
Don't do that, kids. Smoking's bad for you. The lawyers make me say it. But it is, because it is. Yeah, don't do it. Yeah. Any final thoughts as we go out? Anything we missed with Alii that we need to communicate out to people to get them to check you guys out?
I mean, I think most importantly is if you know someone who is on birth control, please share this. Whether you take my supplement or not, it's really, for me, it's not about that, but it is about, don't make the same mistake I made. I suffered for 10 years with all sorts of health issues. But then for the next 10 years, I also spent, the next decade essentially rebuilding my health. I had massive anxiety. I had gut issues. And I think that I really could have avoided this if I would have just supported my body during this time. And so don't wait for the shoe to fall off. I mean, really just, share this with anybody that you know that is, taking any kind of hormonal birth control. If you have a copper IUD, you need to supplement with zinc, but that's really it. Wow. That's the only thing that depletes. But if you're taking hormones, just support your body during this time. My
IUD is titanium. I didn't do the copper.
How'd they get that in?
You don't want to know.
It was a painful process.
It was.
Yeah.
Evidently, they got to take it out soon, so that's another painful process. But I poop great. I don't know what that means. Now, I noticed you got some discounts on the website. Any Black Friday things? We're like a week away from Thanksgiving. People on YouTube are going to kill me on this one. They're going to be like, "It's 10 years later and it's February, dummy."
Yes, no, this is a great week to try Alii because this is our biggest sale ever. So if you use Black Friday 30, you get 30% off a one-time purchase. If you use Black Friday all year, it'll give you 25% off every single month of a subscription. And I already priced this to be affordable because I really want it, everyone to have access to it. So this makes it really, really affordable.
I'm going to buy it even though I'm not a woman, just because it's a great deal.
Thanks. I appreciate that. I know how you like it.
Maybe can I take it so I can balance my masculine and feminine,
I mean, that's going to take more work than I have, but
That's true.
maybe some therapy and Alii. I don't know.
Yeah, there's decades of therapy here. So thank you very much. We really appreciate you coming on the show and enlightening us. I'm a big fan of women. My mom started with my mom, and I really appreciate women. Without them, we'd just really be screwed.
Yeah, could you imagine the world? There'd be a lot of grunting.
Yeah, and none of us would probably be here talking about it. So. But I'm glad you're taking care of this because I've seen women really suffer through this, and I've seen, how much they've suffered with the evil, side effects, birth control, and I've seen them go back on it, and I'm just like, wow, that's really shocking how much that just really can antagonize a body.
Yeah.
And it's not fun. Yeah. So thank you very much, Melanie, for coming to the show. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're so welcome. And if you want a discount code for your listeners who are not going to listen this week, we can set one up so they can get a 20% off discount too.
Send that to us because it'll take a couple days to get the podcast up with our pipeline, but I think it should be up. We'll see if we can advance it before Black Friday. And then, shoot me one. And then, because people watch these videos, we had somebody watch a video from 2012 a couple days ago and they left a comment. And I guess it was like an iPad or iMac stand. And they're like, yeah, I bought this and it still works for the new iMacs. We have people write us, they're like, hey, can you tell me to fix my iPhone 5? And we're just like, are you serious? You're still watching those videos? I think in 2 years, we've been on YouTube for 20 years. But
congratulations.
We do much better on iTunes for the podcast. They love us over there. Anyway, thank you, Melanie, for coming on. Give us the .com one last time as we go out.
ALII supplements.com.
And thanks so much for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1, the TikTokity, and all those crazy places on the internet. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Chris.